Hi guys, and welcome to another Thoughtscapes. Today I'm going to be talking to you about 4 ways to look after your mental health if you're an entrepreneur. Now, looking after and protecting your mental is super duper important, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because in effect you're working for yourself. You have to self-motivate, you have to self-criticize, you have to everything is on you basically. Now, the journey to being an entrepreneur and seeing success in that path that you've chosen is a long, very twisty, windy, up and downy road. It isn't easy is what I'm trying to say. And that's why you have to look after your mental. You've got to keep it in check, and you also have to have regular checkpoints with yourself to understand where you're at emotionally, mentally, your whole well-being. So I don't know if you guys know this, but entrepreneurs suffer from some of the highest mental illness rates, namely depression and anxiety. And what's sad about it is that it actually isn't talked about as much in the entrepreneurial world. It's not focused on, it's not put on a platform, but actually it's quite endemic because entrepreneurs are risk takers, they're confident, they're go-getters. On the flip side, all those admirable qualities, there are downfalls because they are subject to a lot of uncertainty in their lives. Things go from bad to worse. Sometimes they go up and down, and it is hard to keep your emotions in check when you are constantly suffering from extreme highs and extreme lows in your emotions, but also in your circumstances. 1 month you could be earning more than an average salary, and then the next month you could be in crippling debt. So I strongly feel the need to talk about this topic because I don't think it's pushed in the limelight enough amongst entrepreneurs, and some entrepreneurs do not know that this is very common to suffer from bouts of depression, to suffer from extreme anxiety. And I have read stories about certain prolific entrepreneurs committing suicide because the pressure on them was so immense, and the stigma surrounding talking about it and being very open and honest about how you're feeling is just a slightly taboo, I'd say. Well, not taboo, but it's just not commonplace. So I'm here to let you know that it is okay to feel the way that you feel, and there are things that you can do to help you ease the situation. Once you feel like you are losing control of yourself, I think that's the point where you should really start thinking about looking for external support, because you do not want your thoughts, your anxieties, your fears to start controlling you and dictating the way that you live your life. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about, especially in the US, but this can apply to certainly any big metropolitan city because they are usually full of immigrants. The American dream, going from having virtually nothing in your pocket to becoming a millionaire or becoming the president of the United States. Not to say that said president came from nothing, but it just goes to show you that in the US there is that culture of making something from nothing, and how you go about doing that is entrepreneurs. A country based on entrepreneurs obviously leads to subsequent generations who have similar traits. Risk takers, go-getters. On the flip side, it's also manifested in a way where the current generation suffers from mental illness quite prevalently. Depression again, anxiety again. The foundation of it is a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, and their personalities have bred people who are even more heightened in that sense. Number 1 is to talk. Entrepreneurs think that they can solve everything usually. They think they've got it, they can handle it, and usually they don't really want to ask for help because they believe in themselves so much that sometimes they don't think that they need the help. But it is so important to talk, because talking, especially early on when you're feeling that things aren't going quite right, and just explaining your situation and also how you feel might not solve the problem, but it will certainly try and nip things in the bud, because you don't want your feelings and your fears to exacerbate inside you until you do something extreme, because it's just been building up like a pressure cooker inside. And if you're not comfortable with talking to people close to you, then definitely talk to a third party. Sometimes it is easier to talk to someone who doesn't know you because you don't fear that judgment from them, and also you don't fear any kind of biased because they don't know you. So if you feel like you can't reach out to the people closest to you, then certainly if you can, try and find someone who is impartial, who you can download all your feelings to. Number 2, building a life outside of your work is paramount. Why? Because you need to find solace outside of work. Sometimes you just need that separation because work can get too much, and you need to find a sense of perspective, a sense of joy somewhere else. And you'll get that if you have other things in your life that you're pursuing aside from your work. Now, I don't know if all entrepreneurs are going to agree with me, but for me, this has worked very well, is to limit your financial exposure. Because you are risk takers, sometimes entrepreneurs try and push themselves to the max, really go for broke, as the saying goes, but that just tears you apart. It tears away at your sanity because you're living on the edge. You know that it's 50-50. Either you're going to make a success of it or you're really going to collapse. And actually sometimes the odds aren't even that favorable. You could be more on the, oh, I'm going to lose everything end than, yes, I'm going to gain more than my fair share. Give yourself a buffer zone so you know even if things go wrong, you still have something to fall back on. And lastly, this might sound trivial, but do try and get enough sleep. Sleep helps you regulate your emotions and your hormones, and when you have had enough sleep, you can make rational decisions. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, because they are so focused and so driven, sometimes there's not enough hours in the day, and because of it, you tend to sacrifice sleep. So try to get enough sleep, between 7 and 8 hours per night. Also, what might help is to drink plenty of water. It just keeps you hydrated, refreshed, awake, and that will also help you make better decisions so you do not suffer from the consequences of having minimal sleep, making very erratic, uninformed choices, and then maybe suffering the repercussions on the end of it. So guys, I hope that was helpful. Very short and sweet, but yes, it is very important that entrepreneurs out there know that mental illness is a big thing in the community. It's not talked about often, and that's why I want to put it on a platform, but there are ways that you can deal with it. One is to talk to someone from the beginning, from the start. Just keep talking so that you can unload a lot of your burdens instead of just collecting them up until it's too late and you do something very drastic and extreme. Secondly, it's to build your identity outside of work. Have other passions that you're pursuing so that you gain some perspective and there are other things outside of work that bring you joy and fulfillment. Thirdly, limit your financial exposure. Please don't push yourself to the edge because that will just test your nerve to the brink. Give yourself a safe buffer zone so if things go not according to plan, you still have a safety net there so that you don't have to worry and you don't have to stress. And lastly, get enough sleep. Please do not sacrifice sleep because actually you will probably be even more productive and more effective if you do have sleep than if you minimize the sleep and just try and work and work and work. Thank you for watching. Please share this if you found it valuable and you think there are some entrepreneurs out there or people who are just in high pressure environments that might benefit from it. If you have any comments, comment down below. Please like it if you did like this video, and also hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more motivational videos from me. And I will see you in my next video. And it's not put, is a very what's it called? My bag's tight. Ooh. Are amongst